The Third Reich was a German state that viewed Christianity as the traditional and continual religion of the German nation. It allowed freedom of religion for all denominations of the Christian faith, whether Catholic, Lutheran, Orthodox, or non-denominational, also known as Gottgläubig. In addition to the support of Christianity, the Reich also extended religious liberties to all non-Christian faiths that posed no threats to the German nation's laws and ideals set forth by the state. In this manner, Germany enjoyed true religious freedom like no nation during its time. According to the 25-point party program of the NSDAP that was first announced on February the 24th of 1920, point 24 states the following, quote, "We demand freedom of religion for all religious denominations within the state so long as they do not endanger its existence or oppose the moral senses of the German nation. The party as such advocates positively for Christianity without binding itself confessionally to any one denomination. It combats the Jewish materialistic spirit within and around us and is convinced that a lasting recovery of our nation can only succeed from within on the framework, the good of the community before the good of the individual." End quote. With well over 95% of Germany being made up of Christians, any subversive or anti-Christian sentiments and actions were quickly scrutinized and punished by law. 15 years later, in 1935, 3 years after the NSDAP came into power, even the Jewish-controlled foreign press confirmed that these promises were indeed being kept. A New York Times article from Tuesday, October 29, 1935 states the following, quote, "Hitler repudiates Reich neo-pagans, backs Christianity. Führer to lead the party along path of a positive faith, Kerl announces. Move urged by Schacht. Dictator is said to have given pledges to Catholic bishop during parley in Berlin." Berlin, October 28th. Hans Kerl, head of the Reich Church Ministry, has issued the following statement. Reich Chancellor Hitler, acting at the wish of Dr. Hjalmar Schacht, president of the Reichsbank and economics minister, has had country and district leaders advise that Hitler will lead the party along the path of positive Christianity and not along the false path of anti-Christian doctrine. German churchmen were led tonight to believe that on orders of Hitler, twilight has set in for the Wagnerian Guards, recognized neo-pagans of the Nazi Reich. The Führer, religious circles heard, has told the Catholic Bishop of Berlin, Count Konrad von Preysing, that Dr. Alfred Rosenberg's philosophy of a German faith with heroes and gods for Germans only will no longer be tolerated. Also attributed to Hitler were bans on cult festivals and the further construction of open-air amphitheaters in the Germanic style and spirit where such gatherings might be conducted. The admonition, "Stop your nonsense," also was reported to have been given by the Führer to Dr. Rosenberg, Baldur von Sirach, Reich Youth Leader, Richard Walter Dery, Agricultural Commissioner, and Heinrich Himmler, Chief of Secret Police, all recognized as neo-pagan leaders. Church circles in which these reports were accepted as true attached the greatest importance to them because Protestant and Catholics alike have regarded neo-paganism as neo-heathenism. The German faith movement, or New Religion, has been called the greatest threat to Germany's older established religions. Certain churchmen professed to believe the Nazi Party realized that neo-paganism belonged in a special agricultural circle led by Dare. However, they were asking themselves whether the reported recent developments indicated only a temporary expediency or an actual about-face in Nazi policy. Bishop von Preysing conferred with Hitler Wednesday, but details of the conversation were not generally reported until tonight. Other matters dealt with at the conference, at which Hitler was said to have done all the talking, were understood to have been the arrest and imprisonment of Bishop Petrus Lege of Meissen for contravention of the foreign exchange laws, restrictions of the Catholic press, and new laws governing the flying of the swastika flag in churches. Mr. Kerl himself, during a party meeting at Limburg, declared, "By Article 24 of our program, we recognized positive Christianity that has nothing to do with dogma, but means free faith. The essence of National Socialism is faith. It is an act of love. Therefore, National Socialism is positive Christianity and love towards one's neighbor and neighbors, not primarily the Hottentots and Zulus, but towards German compatriots. Should not the representatives of the Christian confessions recognize that with the Nazi seizure of power, the time came when true Christianity could be made a potent force? We have never interfered in matters of belief. We want complete freedom in such matters. National Socialism must demand that each party member be religious, but we don't bother about which confession he wants to belong to." End quote. A few years prior to the writing of this article, there was the case of George Grosz, a Jewish artist who was notorious for his so-called artwork in which he mocked and blasphemed Jesus Christ. During the Weimar Republic, liberal secularism had halted laws against sacrilege and indecency. Once the NSDAP came into power in 1933, these traditional laws were once again reintroduced and reinforced, and thus, George Grosz's case was one of the first cases in the Third Reich of someone being put on trial for blasphemy. Sadly, George Grosz was able to escape to the United States of America, where he was able to find refuge and thus avoid the arm of German justice and law. Nevertheless, Grosz's case became infamous, as it clearly demonstrated the common sentiment of the German people regarding the degrading, abuse, and insults against the Christian faith. As this 1934 caricature from the newspaper Der Stürmer reveals, the act of undermining the Christian faith in any way whatsoever was viewed as a Jewish act. Following his escape to America, the National Socialists publicly exhibited several of his degenerate works which they described as, quote, a mockery of the divine, and to which Adolf Hitler himself stated the following.
Seit 8 Monaten führen wir einen heroischen Kampf gegen die kommunistische Bedrohung unseres Volkes, die Verrottung unserer Kultur, Zersetzung unserer Kunst und Vergiftung unserer öffentlichen Moral. Der Leugnung von Gott, der Beschimpfung der Religion haben wir ein Ende gesetzt.
Der Kampf gegen den Marxismus wurde damals zum ersten Mal zu einem Kampfziel erhoben. Damals gelobte ich mir zum ersten Mal, als unbekannter Eiserner diesen Krieg zu beginnen und nicht zu ruhen, bis endlich diese Erscheinung aus dem deutschen Leben beseitigt sein wird.